Hello, friends and listeners. Welcome to Calm Talk Podcast with me, Breir and Rey as your hosts, and our guests from Calm Lab ASU, Casey, Linda, Miguel, and Cassidy, here to inform us about how positive communication affects the self. To begin, how are you all doing today?
We're doing great. Awesome. Awesome. That's great to hear. Well, today I wanted to talk to you all about positive communication, and I wanted to talk about how it affects the self. And from what I know from chapter 4 in Miravel's book, The Art of Positive Communication, Theory and Practice, talks about how symbolic interaction, which can be a complex theory, also has two important principles, which can be complex. One theory argues that communication is that primary way in which identity is negotiated, and second is that identity construction occurs through interaction with others. Those two principles working together imply that interaction with others influences development of self. Would you all agree on that? Open for answers, and then goes into.
Also, even language is an important way through which meaning can be negotiated and constructed. In an example given in the book are the names we use to refer to people that help co-construct various identities, like mom and dad, to create that parental identity, and the use of doctor that can help imply the role of professor or medical professional, and even other words like honey or my love, which can create that closeness between partners. In what ways do you think you use words to identify someone in your life?
Well, I wanted to cut in on that one because I know growing up with a lot of friends in my neighborhood, we kind of took a word that we use in Spanish, which is primo, as in cousin, but we kind of turned it into a slang as preems. So we would call somebody like not just a friend, but somebody that was close to us, a preems. Like that's my preems. You know what I mean? Like my cousin, my family member, someone that meant more than a friend that we had a relationship with. So that's kind of what I thought about when we talked about like those little cues and those words. And also too, I wanted to talk about like symbolic interactionism that emphasizes that people's identities are both personally enacted and given to other people. Even our own sense of self is affected by how people interact with us, by how people talk to us, and even act towards us as well. There are even major concepts as well that focus on how communication affects the self, which is altercasting, ossification, and intertextuality. As much as I know, I wanted the experts to be able to tell us more about these three concepts. And starting first, we want to go ahead with altercasting. So Casey, thank you for joining us. And I wanted know a little bit more about altercasting and what's it about. Casey then will begin to speak and give her information about altercasting. Then it'll go into, thank you, Casey. I appreciate the knowledge, very informative. And now for the second concept, I'd like to hand it over to Linda to learn more about ossification. Linda will give her speech as she talks about ossification and the meaning behind it. Then it will go into Breir.
Thank you, Linda. Moving right along, we have Miguel, who's going to tell us a little bit more about intertextuality. Miguel gives his spiel. Thank you, Miguel. Up next, we have Cassidy to tie things up with more knowledge on particular knowledge. Cassidy speaks. To conclude, we discussed positive communication and how it can be embodied. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, complimentors out.